Welcome to Sandra P's Gen Extra. I appreciate everybody that is coming in. I appreciate my mod, Linda Gamble. Thank you so much. And this is my live Married to Medicine review. I'm going to try to find out the best strategy as far as light. Because if I have to show something, the low light is better. But if I have the highlight on me, sometimes that works even better. So I'll try different things. This will actually allow me to change. That's not bad. That's a yellow light, but it doesn't blind me. Welcome into the chat. Welcome everybody that's come into the chat. Thank you so much for liking the video. Subscribe if you have not already. Thank you so much. Okay, what I'm going to do in here, I'm going to start the Married to Medicine episode 12. This is the aftermath of the trip to Key West, and I've taken some notes. But what I might do is just as I go over the notes and people come in, I'll probably read some comments and then we'll discuss current events. There's a lot going on with this show. All right, we're going to start. This still on the beach. Quiet is screaming, please, baby, please. As King is advancing on Dr. Greg, and Dr. Greg is backing up really quickly. And he didn't fall down either like Dr. Heavenly did. So Dr. Greg's in good shape. He got some good knees. He was able to backpedal. And I would have too, Dr. Greg. You were doing exactly what you should have been. We see Sweet Tea in a prayer circle surrounded by Dr. Mimi, Dr. Contessa, and Phaedra. Sweet Tea, I recognize in Sweet Tea, she wanted to fight because Dr. Heavenly, we watched her provoke her, cursed her out like a dog for asking a couple of valid questions. They had an exchange, and then Sweet Tea ends up down the beach. That's why I know that Quad sent King over there, because it ended up jumping off in a couple of places, which is unusual for a fight. Because the last time we saw it, Dr. King and Dr. G were okay. And then I think Dr. G said one more thing he didn't have to say, but I think Quad actually pushed King into confrontation. We'll get into that more. So Dr. Eugene was telling everybody to calm down, telling Kim, telling King there's a past. King's like, F the past. King, no, this is this lady's ex-husband. This is their ex-wife. They should be beyond this, but if they've not been to therapy, we can see why they're not. And with people meddling like Heavenly and people making fun of them and trying to push them together, I understand, especially with this show being both a part of their job. We get it. So Dr. Steves and also Cecil, speaking to Dr. G, he's telling Dr. G, Cecil said, if this is too much, you might have to walk away. Dr. Steves agreeing to that. They're saying the same thing. Toya is drinking. Toya is standing there drinking with the little cup that Simone gave them. And she's watching this prayer circle that's going on. Phaedra speaking in tongues. The three mean girls, they don't like being called mean girls. We'll call them mean older ladies or mean old ladies. The three mean old ladies are standing in a circle, and Dr. Heavenly went, what's going on over there? And Dr. Simone said, they're in a prayer circle, and Heavenly going, they're speaking in tongues. Dr. Jackie's making fun. These are three soulless, terrible women. And I didn't used to feel that way about at least Simone, y'all. I used to like Dr. Simone, but they flashed to does production like Simone this season? Because they go to Simone's confessional, and Simone's going, I don't know why Phaedra, God is not speaking through her, because Dr. Simone knows who God would speak through, I guess. God is not speaking through her. And he didn't tell her about her effed up relationship with Shireen and Apollo. Some of Simone's comments have been disgusting, y'all. Simone, you need to talk to production, find out whether or not they're trying to give you this bad edit, which they claim they don't do, but the three mean girls, the three old ladies, the three doctors, y'all are going out bad this season. And I hate it for you, except for Dr. Heavenly. I don't mind this happening to her. And Dr. Jackie, the original mean girl. And Mariah Huck told us that. Everything Mariah Huck told us turned out to be true. So Dr. Simone have a confessional also with Cecil. They're laughing about events. Cecil trying to make jokes. Dr. Simone had the foresight to order an extra boat for the way back. So that makes me wonder, did we know something was going to go down? Or when you could just anticipate. I'm glad she had the extra boat back. Of course, it's Sheikh and Phaedra who said they were leaving. And Sweet Tea and Dr. G. And I think Dr. G is asking Sweet Tea, what happened? How did it pop off like that? Because he knew what happened with him and King, but he's asking Sweet Tea what happened. She said, I asked Heavenly, how did Apollo get there? Who invited him? And she just started cussing me out. So Sweet Tea has not learned yet to spin the narrative the way you'll see the rest of them. Something will happen and they'll automatically lie. I love Sweet Tea's authenticity because she is telling the truth. And this is the truth that she's telling. That is what we saw happen. She asked Dr. Heavenly the questions that everybody wanted to know. Who invited Apollo? why did he and Shireen get invited? Because he was still a married man at the time, whether we knew they're separated or not. If a married man's invited somewhere, his wife has a right to go. So we should have anticipated Shireen coming, or did Dr. Heavenly think that Phaedra was going to come alone again this year and have Apollo there along with her? Maybe try to set them up or get something going on with the two of them? Or did she know that Shireen might make an appearance and then we would have Phaedra as a third wheel again, looking alone so they can make fun of her as this alone, sad, single woman, which Phaedra is not, because all the doctors seem to be really pressed by divorced Phaedra, which they're acting like, divorce is the worst thing in the world. They're hanging on to these husbands who can't stand them, with the exception of Cecil. I think Cecil still loves Simone. But Curtis seems so unimpressed with Jackie. I never see them laughing together or joking or anything like that. And Daddy and Dr. Heavenly, they only seem to bond when they're kind of making fun of the other couples. That's how I feel. So Contessa asked on their boat back, she said, why is it so deep between you and T? Heavenly doing her thing, and she tells us, I've been doing this for years. So Heavenly immediately starts lying. This little girl, she's doing all this, she's too much. She's doing all of this. She's doing all of this. So we already know that Heavenly is planting a seed to let us believe, the viewers being us, because I'm a viewer. I do recaps and I'll give my opinion, but I'm a viewer first and foremost. And Dr. Heavenly's trying to convince me that Sweet Tea is the one that's rah-rah and always ready to fight. I don't see that. I see Sweet Tea being provoked beyond what someone in everyday life would be provoked, and handling it better than most, especially coming from these older women who they should not be doing that, but they're doing it. And Heavenly, I don't mind her being a provocateur. I do mind her nastiness. I think she's frequently below the belt, and she's doing a lot. But she tells Contessa that it's because Sweet Tea is the one that's always acting like she can ready to fight somebody. She says in the confessional Heavenly always lies. She doesn't, Sweet Tea is sweet. She's the sweetest girl, but she doesn't know why Sweet Tea is acting like this. Confessional Contessa reminds us that Sweet Tea is really sweet and that she is also taking hormones. And we know that is true. That can change your mood. That can change your body. Another reason why Dr. Heavenly's calling her big back, razorback, all this stuff was kind of disgusting. And Sweet Tea did say that about Heavenly's body too, but Heavenly makes fun of everybody. So when you're a person that makes fun of everybody, you open yourself up so that everybody can make fun of you. So that's why a lot of people drag Heavenly, because she loves to drag others. So Dr. Simone says she doesn't know if they'll work it out. We see a scene with King. King's telling Quad, I just told him he got to respect you and you can say whatever you want. And Quad's like, I know, baby. Yeah, that don't even make sense. King, that didn't make sense when you said it. Dr. G told you it didn't make sense, and nobody buys that. Nobody can say whatever they want. The other person just going to stand there and eat it, especially if it's an ex-husband or an ex-wife. We're not doing that. So we see a meeting with Heavenly and Simone sitting with Apollo and Shireen. Dr. Heavenly apologizes to Apollo and Shireen. Apollo's giving his side of it. It's the problem that Phaedra brought Shake because I let him know, he's my friend. Apollo, Phaedra doesn't owe you anything. You guys have been divorced 6 or 7 years. Shireen, how do you feel about Apollo sitting here expressing concern about who his ex-wife dates? Phaedra yelled at last week. She asked him, why are you worried about who I date? And then Shireen pops up that Miss Phaedra, he ain't worried about you. And when she called her bad built bitch, as she should have, because Shireen, he seems to be very worried about her. He's sitting in front of Doctors Heavenly and Dr. Simone and telling them that the problem is that Shake came. And then he turned right around and said, well, no, it's not a problem that he came. They didn't let me know that the two of them get ready to start dating. I always liked Apollo, and Apollo, you're not looking good. You're not looking good at all. And then I keep in mind that these two they've always had the chemistry. I thought they had a slight respect, and if not a friendship, at least a level of respect, because they have these children. We've seen him only allowed in her driveway, as she has let us know. And a lot of people are saying, well, she brought him to the reunion last year. Yes, she invited him to the reunion last year. That doesn't give open season for the rest of the castmates to start inviting this man anywhere they want him to come. Because last year, Toya especially was always asking about Apollo. And they claimed Phaedra was doing nothing. So at the end of the season, she did bring him, and he sat right behind her at that reunion. So yeah, that is true. But that doesn't give, to me, open season for them to keep inviting him. And then what is Dr. Heavenly and Dr. Simone apologizing to Apollo and Shireen for? So at the same time, I like the way production cut the scene. Dr. Jackie is over here at the apartment checking on Phaedra, trying to see if Phaedra and Shake are okay and being nosy. And so Phaedra invites Dr. Jackie in, asks Shake to take a minute. She dismissed him outside, and she's already packed. And she told Dr. Jackie, sometimes I expect different things from other people, but I'm disappointed in you. So confessional Dr. Jackie says, I don't know why she's disappointed in me. I thought that her and Apollos were getting along good, but I don't know Apollo. Confessional Dr. Jackie is really sassy, y'all. She's very saucy. So she said that she doesn't understand why Phaedra's upset. And then she said, Phaedra let her know that I don't hang around these type of women. I'm not around these type mean girls, and I'm leaving. I'm going to go home. Dr. Jackie lets her know. We've all seen the scene. I might have went over the scene last week, but the scene has been, they released one of the scenes. They released half this episode before we even saw it on TV. But they released the scene where Dr. Jackie is asking Phaedra, do you want to leave this way? You want to leave like this? And Phaedra said, yes, I do. Because Phaedra's been on reality TV long enough. She realized gaslighting when she sees it. So when Jackie asked her, you want to leave like this? Yes, I do. And then confessional Dr. Jackie tells us she thought Phaedra would be stronger. She knew she would be upset, but she thought that she could take it and she would come back stronger. And I would like to say, I would like us to normalize not remaining in places where people know we're going to be upset and still choose to use and abuse us. So I don't blame Phaedra for leaving this group of friends. Phaedra said, I have my private jet that is waiting on me and I'm going to leave. And Dr. Jackie gives a stupid look, a stunned look. Confessional Dr. Jackie does the same. Phaedra picks up her little bag. Shake takes the rest of their bags. They get in a car and head to the private jet, y'all. Production shows it taking off. So we love it. I'm going to greet a few of y'all and then get back to the review. Thank you for coming in. Everybody like, everybody subscribe. Thank you so much. Hello, Capricorn Flower, my moderator. I appreciate you making a live. Thank you. Hi, Cynthia Christian. Thank you for being here. Thank you. And I appreciate you making a live. You're also my moderator. I appreciate everybody that comes in and is willing to moderate because everyone's able to come at different times. Monday right now is a day off for me. So it works really well if I can come in the afternoon and then sometime in the evening. And then tomorrow I have an early live schedule that'll just be like hot topic type stuff. Okay, so Phaedra's packing. Phaedra took her private jet. And they still discuss Phaedra behind her back. The ladies get together for lunch. Heavenly still cussing Phaedra out. I didn't like Heavenly in that scene with Simone. She was speaking really negatively toward Phaedra with Apollo. And Apollo was saying, Phaedra's really educated, but you ladies are all doctors. And Simone like, yeah, we boss bees on our own. They're convincing themselves that they're the same quality as Phaedra, which they are, but they're the ones that were, to me, acting all intimidated. And then Dr. Simone is telling Apollo that she never opened up to them. They don't understand why Phaedra never opened up to them, but the viewer can see why Phaedra never opened up to them. Dr. Heavenly is doing everything she can to bait Phaedra. Toya flat out would ask questions trying to get information from Phaedra. And it was never a friendship type thing where you give a little information, you get a little information, you become familiar with each other, you build trust with each other. These ladies never did that with Phaedra. And I don't care if people say, well, Phaedra always wanted to go back to Real Housewives of Atlanta. I don't think that's what it was. I just think that they weren't receptive to her. Confessional Phaedra tells us, she said, any new person that comes into this group, this is a group of mean girls, they mistreat the person and the person leaves. That is true. I've seen online people were writing down people from, they mentioned Carrie. They went in the crates and got Carrie because I couldn't stand Carrie. Mariah, of course, this is Mariah's own creation. And she's still getting a check to this day. They kicked Mariah off her own ish. And Simone was Mariah, one of her close friends. And they used Simone to deliver the final blow. Mariah said that, and she has said it repeatedly, and they don't dispute it because it's true. Quad has been a backstabber to Mariah, who was able to get her from Memphis to Atlanta, married to a doctor. Yeah, I'm giving Mariah credit for all of that, for putting Quad in those circles. Audra and Alicia were the most recent. Lisa Nicole, they stay on her case. Quad lied on her. Remember, Quad brought a man on the show to lie on Lisa Nicole's husband. Remember, Lisa Nicole said, what about your lesbian relationship, B? And threw water or soda or something in Quad's face. And Quad was still extra then, but she was funny to me at the time. Quad showed up in that next scene with a bandage in a sling or something. But yeah, they've been at it a long time, and Phaedra clocks them, and she lets the viewer know. Group of mean girls, get rid of the new people, all that checks. It's all true. So they have two separate cars that are going to lunch. The men are actually going to smoke cigars. The ladies are going to have, I think they're doing a rum tasting or rum punch or something like that, and they're eating. When they all get there, someone was asking Dr. Mimi if she drinks. She doesn't drink rum. I think it was Contessa. She doesn't drink rum. So that's right, Dr. Mimi, don't drink around these ladies, especially don't get over intoxicated around these ladies. We see Dr. Heavenly asking for Hennessy. Heavenly, are you going to beat those alcohol allegations? Because I haven't seen the teacup in a long time, but Dr. Heavenly is reckless at her mouth. And when she's in trouble lately, that's an extra that we probably talk about after this review. But Dr. Heavenly is asking for an extra shot of Hennessy in what they're already drinking. They're drinking rum punch or something. So Dr. Jackie had already briefed Simone on what Phaedra said. Simone brings it up to the group. Yeah, Phaedra's gone. Phaedra has left. Phaedra said that we are a bunch of mean girls. So now we're getting telephone game from Simone instead of Dr. Jackie, who actually had the meeting with Phaedra, telling the group what Phaedra says. And the way she says it, and she left on a private jet, Dr. Heavenly gets upset. That's Phaedra Parks-ish. Yeah, that is Phaedra Parks, B. That is Phaedra Parks. And it shouldn't bother you how she left unless maybe you're a little bit jealous. Because if you and Damon can afford private jets or a partial ownership, whatever you want to do, but that was something that they had a problem with. That Phaedra left and the way that she left. Dr. Concessa says, she could have texted us, but we don't know private jet etiquette. All of them had something a little slick to say, except for Toya, except for Dr. Mimi. I was surprised at Dr. Contessa, because Dr. Contessa, you just now got back almost right with Dr. Heavenly, and that's only because she's fixated on dragging Letitia and Phaedra. So Dr. Steve is telling Eugene and Cecil that this is the most unique trip that he has been on, and they're kind of joking. I like Dr. Steve's personality. He and Mimi are sweet. So they're laughing, but Eugene and Cecil, these ninjas look bad. They really did. I'm shocked at the husbands. I think the husbands can do a lot more to rein in their wives if they wanted to. Now, they don't seem like the messy type, especially Cecil. Cecil will do his little gossip with Simone, but I'm surprised that he hasn't done more to let Simone know how badly she looks. She does. She looks like a mean old lady. She really does. So they're laughing. And let's see, Curtis and Cecil, they're wondering if they're going to be any kind of way to remedy the situation, because they didn't want Dr. G to leave the way he did. What I left out, Dr. Contessa calls Sweet Tea when they were in the car, and Dr. Greg gets on the phone and just tells her that he felt it was better for them to leave, and they agreed. But Curtis, I did like what Curtis said. Curtis said that he wanted to make sure somebody reaches out to them and make sure that they know that they weren't asked to leave. Of course, if they felt more comfortable leaving, they understand that, but they don't want Dr. Greg to feel isolated from the group. And I agree with Curtis. And Dr. Eugene expresses a couple of times he feels the same way. So Confessional Toya claims that she doesn't know why Paula was invited. She's glad he went back to Atlanta. Because Confessional Toya, sometimes she tells truths that when Toya's with the group, I don't think Toya's scared to say. Toya says what she want to say. She was over there drinking while they were having the prayer circle. She wasn't over there throwing nasty digs like the trio of mean old ladies. She wasn't doing that. So when Contessa said that T left, Heavenly grunt, good, she should have left. She don't know the game yet. Heavenly makes this such a miserable experience, y'all. The doctors on Married to Medicine used to have so much fun. They'd have parties, and then people like to bring up, the first episode or the first season, Toya and Mariah had that fight. Yeah, they did have a fight. I think they were new to reality TV. They were kind of going a little too far with each other. And Toya let us know later, and we knew that she had a new baby at home. She had a little toddler. She was kind of being egged on by Mariah. I remember Mariah kind of swinging her hair, calling her baby girl or something. And they were close before that. And I don't know how that happened, but it was just a fight that shouldn't have happened. It did happen. Everybody was shocked by it. It wasn't something that 10 or 11 years in, I would think Dr. Heavenly were trying to be orchestrating something where someone could get physical again. And as Cecil, as Curtis, as all the men said, The men have never had this. When it's a man, it's just more serious. Somebody could have really been hurt. So at the cigar spot, they're claiming that this is out of their character. They're trying to convince Dr. Steve that it doesn't usually go down like this. I think Dr. Steve is getting kind of wary of this group. I think Dr. Mimi already was. So they show us back in Atlanta. In Atlanta, Sweet Tea and Dr. Greg, she's making him some water. Why do we never see Sweet Tea cook? She's either making him a smoothie or you can't make water. She poured him a glass of water. She put ice in it. She used the coasters this time, I think. But she pours him a tall glass of water. So they're sitting at the table drinking the water. Dr. G is still mad. I don't blame him. Somebody charged him and tried to put his hands on him, and his younger wife had to run up the beach and try to, get into the whole situation. So he is kind of being real mean. He's kind of, to me, poking at Sweet Tea. And he's like, what were you going to do? And she said, I'm combat trained. Forget combat trained. And he said, you're still a woman. Dr. G be talking crazy to Letitia, y'all. He talks crazy to her. But Quad said he was always like this. And we've seen this side of him. But I need him to be able to either go to therapy, get his own psychiatrist, do something, soothe yourself, or you're not talking like this to your wife. And she was telling him she's the only one standing up for him. Somehow they get into a back and forth, and he storms upstairs in their house. She goes upstairs to follow him. They go behind closed doors, and we know how production is. Production is they got a hot mic in there, and Dr. G is still talking badly to Letitia. I felt so bad for her, and she's telling him, be quiet, because she knows that she knew that this is her second season. This is her sophomore season, and she know they got their mics in there and under the door trying to get everything. They might still be mic'd. And she's like, be quiet. And he's like, who you think you're talking to? And she said, I'm trying to help the team. And he said, listen to the leader of the team. We can hear this man clearly in what he's saying. And now the conversation, the narrative Dr. Heavenly has put out, I don't care how Sweet Tea treated me. I feel so bad the way Dr. G treating her. And Quad feels so sorry for Sweet Tea, even though she wants her to lose her job. And she's always provoking Sweet Tea and Dr. Greg. Quad's out there with a statement, y'all. She feels sorry too. But Sweet Tea was trying to tell Dr. Greg to shut his mouth. Some of this, wait till these camera people leave, and then y'all can talk to each other like you need to talk to each other. I appreciate you giving us the real, but we don't need to see all of this when you don't get nothing from Dr. Heavenly and them. The last time, How I See It TV, if you follow her on IG, she's a creator here on YouTube as well. She's put up a post, and it shows a lot of scenes of the different couples when they didn't censor themselves for TV. And we see that scene when Dr. Damon tried to check Dr. Contessa in her house. Contessa put him in his place, and he was trying to make Heavenly shut up and was telling her, just be quiet. When I tell you to be quiet, buddy, you got to be quiet. And Dr. Heavenly would not shut her mouth. And when they got outside, because he came in scrubs. So this man comes from work, comes to the dinner party, trying to be engaging, which Damon, I think he's an introvert anyway, and it's not easy for him. But Dr. Heavenly started piping up, trying to get onto Dr. Contessa, started a ruckus, and they looked really bad on TV. And that was the last time we've seen that realness from Dr. Damon and Dr. Heavenly. But we see it here with Letitia and with Dr. G, but they're using it against them. So let me try to quicken this up and then go to some comments. So let's see. Oh, okay. So we'll get to the last scene. They're going to dress in yellow, and it looks like either ivory or white. The first couple that we see, Dr. Contessa's in bed with her computer. Dr. Scott's saying they're wearing yellow. I like Dr. Scott, and I like him with Dr. Contessa. He's laying out their clothes, and she said, oh, good job. He has some nice yellow for them to wear. They're going to wear yellow. Drs. Mimi and Steve showed up. Her sundress was kind of a printed sundress with like flowers or something. And then he had on a black shirt, and it had a yellow flower or something on it. All the couples were color coordinated. They look really good. The last couple to arrive at this, Simone was calling it a listening event. The last couple to arrive, of course, were Quad and King. So Quad makes her entrance. She comes in. There's lemons and a bowl. You know how Dr. Jackie used to always do her lemon squeezes? You hold a lemon, you get to speak your piece. Steve, who pledged and won the $5,000 at that auction that Dr. Jackie had, he brings the bowl, that $5,000 bowl. It's just a nice glass bowl. And Dr. Mimi brings the lemons. So whomever is holding that, they get to speak. Toya wants the lemons in the bowl. Toya's like, Oh no. Oh, so the first one with the lemons and bowls, since it was hers, it's Mimi. Dr. Mimi said, Dr. Simone asked the question, what about exes? Dr. Mimi says, if we're going to have exes around, the exes have to be people that have done the work. I think in this case, the reason why things became so volatile is that the exes have not done the work. The camera pans to Quad. Quad's got the stone face on. You know how she does. She's pouting. Quad, you can't say anything to Quad that is constructive. Dr. Mimi is making 100% sense. The exes have to do the work if they're going to be around each other. I don't know why Quad's upset with that, but Quad's mad as heck. She mad. She's sitting there, poker face. King looks very uncomfortable, y'all. King does not fit in with this group. Even when he was at Cigars with the men, King does not fit in this group, okay? We do not need a luxury leasing car agent going around charging people and trying to beat people up on the beach, okay? Key West, we're not there to do that down in Key West, but that came to my mind, so I'm going to put it in here. King, you do not belong. So Dr. Mimi's giving her answer. Quad is angry about the answer. They get the Quad and King request. Quad requests the lemons and boat needs to come over here. Then King starts talking. He's saying, well, you know, the exes, this is awkward. It's hard for everybody, this, that, and the other. Toya wants the lemon in the bowl. And we hear like, oh man, you know, people, they don't want Toya to talk. Collective, like, ish. So they know Toya sometimes twice a day. She's like a clock. She's right. She's correct. And she doesn't prove me wrong. I was proud of Toya. Toya said, we don't want to be known as mean girls. We don't want to say that we're mean girls. We do some effed up-ish. And Simone nodding like, yeah, that's right. That's right. Simone was just as mean as anybody on this trip. So I don't know how Dr. Simone's going to redeem herself. I didn't like her behavior at all. And she was the host of the trip. 4 people left on your trip, Dr. Simone. 2 of them should have never been invited, Apollo and Shireen. But the way that Dr. G and Letitia were treated to me was atrocious. And I don't care if people say you got to be strong enough. I don't care if they say Letitia should be better by now at defending herself. I don't know why someone always has to be set up and put in a position to be abused. 6 people left, 3 couples. Shake and Phaedra left. Shake and Phaedra, Apollo and Shireen, and Sweet Tea and Dr. G. So 6 people left this trip. They started out with 20 people. So Dr. Simone, I don't care if you and Cecil patting yourself on the back, making jokes. This was terrible. This was a failure. It was an embarrassment. For 8 doctors on a sandbars, Dr. Simone was patting herself on the back. This ended up terribly, y'all. It really did. So now, when after Toya said that, confessional Toya said, sometimes we do hurtful stuff. And production, thank you, production. Production shows seasons of people doing hurtful stuff. They start out with Jackie and Heavenly. Dr. Jackie, when she used to be on Dr. Heavenly's case, let that lady know that a dentist is not a real doctor, this, that, and the other. Just this morning, I was recalling Dr. Jackie said, at least when she take her clothes off, she don't look like a busted can of biscuits. That was aimed at Dr. Heavenly as well. So they're proving Toya right. They show a scene with Heavenly and Quad versus Toya. They show a scene with Quad speculating on Toya's house. She had to beg, borrow, and literally steal to get it. Quad lied. Quad and Anila lied on Dr. Eugene and Toya and pretended like them people broke in their house in the same neighborhood. So yeah, y'all do a lot of messed up stuff. They show Contessa outing the mixed children by the name of Kimes. I think more to come on that. Allegedly, and in my opinion, everything is covered under the Copyright Act of 1976, Section 107. Okay, so Heavenly has the lemon. She's saying I was wrong. Not to consider Quad's feelings. Now, she's not addressing Sweet Tea and Dr. Greg. She's addressing last season, I imagine, that she's wrong not to consider Quad's feelings when she first brought Sweet Tea and Dr. Greg back to the show for Dr. Greg, to the show for Sweet Tea. So Dr. Heavenly is apologizing to Quad. So now we can all agree that Heavenly did that when she was on the outs with Quad, because a lot of people don't seem to remember that that's how Sweet Tea got recruited on the show. And they say, well, why does she have to be on there on Quad's job? Dr. G is the one that is the doctor. The show is married to medicine. Quad is not guaranteed a job for life on this show just because she started out season 1. I'd like to see actually changes made and she could go. Dr. Heavenly can kick rocks. Dr. Jackie and Simone could be friend of, and maybe they could build around, if they bring a Mariah back, if she wanted to come back, Doctors Mimi and Steve Doctors Contessa and Scott, but definitely some changes are going to have to be made. So let's see, Dr. G starts to talk, and he said Dr. G's not here. Dr. Eugene starts to talk. He said, Dr. G's not here. I just need to defend him. I want to tell his side. Quad talks over him. I know you have the lemon bow, but, and she proceeds to talk over this man. Curtis wants to know again how they can reach out to the three and ensure them that they're welcome. And Contessa says when she reached out, Greg was still on fire. That was not true. I'm not saying it didn't happen, but the call she had with Greg seemed to me to be just Greg. He's a little hype, but he wasn't on fire. So Dr. Damon's giving one of these long daddy Dr. Damon nonsensical speeches in a really calm tone, but not saying anything. And his wife's the fire starter. And Dr. Steve said, oh, you don't say a lot. So when you say something, that really means something. And Quad said, oh, you got it figured out already. You got it figured out already. And that's the second time Quad has complimented Dr. Steve. She complimented, oh, you look nice when they got in the car. So watch Quad. Watch Quad. I'm not a Quad fan, and I used to be. So Cecil says they're going to reach out to Dr. G and T. Phaedra might be a lost cause. And so then next week, Cecil made a joke. He said, Phaedra might be a lost cause. He said, because these type of bees, you got to let them go. He knows that Dr. Simone and the other mean old ladies are stuck on Phaedra, calling them these type of bees. And Dr. Simone even made those T-shirts with it on it. And Phaedra tricked hers out, cut off the collar, and made it a hasty. That was funny. So next week, Miss Fei, or my name is not Miss Fei, it's Phaedra, you bad bitch. She's going to say she doesn't want to be around this group. So she's drawing a line in the sand. She said, that's it. And other people saying, well, she's going to Real Housewives. That's fine. She still says she's not messing with y'all. You could have had cross promotion, could have had different things to help the ratings over here. Miss Phaedra said that she's not coming back, or as Heavenly called her, Miss Phaedra Parks. She's not coming back. So that is it, everybody. Dr. Heavenly's in the hot seat of her own making. I'm happier about it than I should be. I don't like to see a person talk themselves into a corner, but some of us have been screaming for a long time. Dr. Heavenly, don't be so reckless. Don't be so mean. Let's get fun, Heavenly. Why are you talking like this? Why are you talking about this lady's fertility? Why are you saying all these things? She's just being funny. I'm going to say it. I'm going to take it back. And now look at you. You done offended a group that might have your job, Dr. Heavenly. They might have your job. So I'm sorry for just speaking that long without being interrupted. Let me greet the people that came in. Good evening, American Born. I'm glad you made it live. Glad to see you. Everybody speaking to American Born. We're happy to see her down in the chat. And then I'll read some comments related to the review. They definitely need new doctors. I agree. Yeah, American Born needs, and Heavenly uses that. We've been here for 10 years. You're stale. You're stale. We're not seeing any new storylines. You're not sharing any storylines. As Phaedra said, anybody new comes in, you attack them. I'm just waiting for them to turn their attention to Dr. Mimi and Steve, because it's going to get ugly. We do need new blood. I like Dr. Alicia. I liked Audra, the attorney. She backed Toya off her. She did it quick. She brought those tax papers to that party, and Toya's Detroit friend wanted to fight. You gotta greet them like that. So something has to happen. Cynthia Christian, hi. Thank you for coming to the chat. That's right. Sweet Tea is Quad storyline. She is. And they admitted it at first, and now everybody's acting like they forgot that. Dr. Heavenly befriended this lady, pretended she was friends with her. I think told a lot of her own information and business, which Sweet Tea has been spilling a little bit. And even when she was up on Watch What Happens Live, people were like, why is Sweet Tea talking about Heavenly? They asked Sweet Tea about Heavenly. Andy even asked her, when did you find out this information about Heavenly? And she said, well, when we were close, Dr. Heavenly does spill her business. And we've seen Heavenly do that. Dr. Heavenly, there is a person dragging Dr. Heavenly. And I went over there. I unsubscribed from him because I caught him in a couple of lies about a couple of women that he shouldn't have anything to even do with. He doesn't review their show. But he had lied on Dr. Melody Rogers. He had lied. Who else was he talking about? He was making fun of Sweet Tea. They call her Sweet Tooth. They call this lady everything in the book. And Sweet Tea had only had one season under her belt when they started picking on her. So I knew that Dr. Heavenly was the one that had started that. But evidently, she's been telling her business to these group of friends. And now that she's being dragged for making what some would consider negative comments about gay men, even though she claims some of them were such close friends of hers. We watched her get on Carlos King's site, YouTube, and then him get on hers, her get on his, and they drag the people that the other one can't really drag in public. They've done a lot of dirt behind the scenes. But this other person was even saying that, and then your so-called friend was calling your office and blaming other people. Remember when she lied on the millimeters? That we were calling up to her office. We don't call that. What would we call that? We didn't call that dentist's office. So I wonder why she did that. But now they're all turning on each other, spilling each other's tea, and it is a mess. And I don't know what Andy Cohen's going to do. I don't think he likes this outside of the show mess, because the person I was watching today, he even said, and then she's supposed to do Taco Tuesday with me, and then she started doing Taco Tuesday with somebody else. And then she told me that she was getting a lot of flack from the network and the people were complaining. So who was complaining, I wonder? Was it Cass? Because he drags a Cass, and he said, he's a comedian. He said, I'm a drag. And she said, oh, it's okay. She just don't want herself dragged, or Dr. Jackie. But there's some kind of conflict of interest going on there. She's already apologized. She's already pulled down the video. And this other group is still mad as a hornet's nest. Now, they didn't get this mad when she was dragging black women and dragging Sweet Tea and talking about fertility. They didn't get mad about that. They're mad about this. So I don't know. This might be the thing, y'all. Steph J75, Carlos was a bully too. Yeah, I see him as a very big bully, and he's a cowardly bully, allegedly, and in my opinion. I don't even mind if they're throwing little jokes or whatever, but he is the one that made the eggs on a vision board remark about Sweet Tea. And Dr. Heavenly being a doctor, that being her castmate, she should have stepped up and said, hey, that's a bridge too far. We can make fun of her and other stuff. She's country. I don't think of Texans as country. Texans got their own thing going on. I don't think that is country. But they could have made fun of her cowboy boots, something, right? Speaking about this woman's fertility, something that is very sensitive to her. And then Heavenly was the one that speculated. I think she knew that when she got in that man's DM. How do we know what this lady knew and when she knew it? She's a veteran. She got all this insurance. That still doesn't mean that test was done. It's a specific test that has to be done. And I watched it. If you watch How I See a TV, she showed a doctor that was speaking about endometriosis. I know who knows better, Dr. Jackie and Dr. Simone. They're OBGYNs. I don't expect Carlos to know. I don't expect a dentist to know, but those two know. And they have not defended Sweet Tea on that front at all. And to sit there and apologize to Apollo and Shireen, and then in another scene, I think they didn't apologize to Greg and Letitia. They didn't apologize to them. They just apologized to Apollo and Shireen. And then Jackie kind of gaslight Phaedra a little bit, like, why are you leaving? You want to leave like this? And Phaedra said, yes, I do. Phaedra, I didn't see her yelling or doing any of that. She got a little bit loud with Apollo, like, why are you worrying about who I date? The Phaedra cuts them just with the regular voice. She wasn't even cussing them out or nothing. I loved it. American Born, yes, I found it interesting. Or Dragon Melody, American Born, he did. That's when I turned on him, because I'll listen to anybody. I'll laugh with anybody, but I can detect when it crosses and it's a meanness, or if I detect a lie. You don't have to lie on people. Any person has something funny about them you can come out with. You don't need to lie on a person. That endometriosis is no joke. I had a hysterectomy at 32 because of it. Wow, that is something. Yeah, any type women problem, fertility issue, especially because it's something that people will act like is the woman's fault or something like that. It's not. It is not. You could walk out of here and break your arm. That's not your fault. It just happens. It's something that happens to some people. And then if it costs this lady whether or not she's able to have a child, now, I don't know what Sweet Tea is going to do. I hope they're in deep therapy. If she remains married to him, I hope he gets in therapy. And I don't know. Maybe they're having such a hard time. Is he meant to be a father of children? I don't know. I didn't want children with him either. Sweet Tea, not either, because Sweet Tea has said she does want to have children with her husband. I do think they're in love, but I like to see him move differently. I wasn't surprised to see him talking the way he was talking. I was shocked to see him allow it be on camera, even though he thought he was behind closed doors. But he knew, he didn't care. He was like, you keep talking to me like they gonna get what you get. She should have, it wouldn't have been on camera what I'd have did to him. I think Sweet Tea I think she could beat his butt. I think she should have had him by the collar in that room. Well, wait till the cameras leave, but I just don't like the way Dr. Greg was talking, y'all. I tried to defend them, and then he he pulled this. It's terrible. Capricorn says, bless you. And then the answer, honey, it was the best thing I did. I never wanted kids anyway. LOL. I didn't either. Thankfully, I didn't have to make a choice like that, but I choose to not have any children as well. I'm 7 out of 8 children. We grew up with a bunch of kids in the family, and none of them wanted that many kids either. The one with the most has 3, and 3 of us have none. And one has 1, one has 2. And I think, one of my brothers, he had another one. He has 3. 2 of them have 3. The ones with the most have 3. And that's out of, we had 8. Children are a lot of work, and it's not for everybody. Just because people can get pregnant doesn't mean they should. Greg has that little man syndrome, and I don't like how he talks to Sweet Tea. I don't either, American Born. I know she can defend herself. And it was one point when she said, I'm the only one that's standing up for you. So I think Dr. Greg causes a lot of problems in his relationships, because he's trying to convince the viewer, I've always been okay with the men. I'm fine with Dr. Eugene. I talked to Dr. Scott. He says he's friends with all the men, but the women say they see this side of him. He's showing it to the viewer. Quad says she's seen it. Sweet Tea, now we see her getting it. So I don't know. I think Sweet Tea can whoop his ass as well. Yeah, American Born. When she said she was combat trained, when she ran up that beach on the sand from that dead stop, and 5 minutes earlier, we saw Heavenly couldn't even get up fast without sitting back down in the water. And Sweet Tea was gone from a dead stop. And I think I understood what he was saying when he called her naive. She didn't like that. And he said, you're naive, T. You're just going to run up on a grown man. Do you know him? And I guess he's saying, you don't know what this man is capable of. You don't know what he could do to me or to you, which is true. But they were on a beach. They had to fly to get there. So we know that King wasn't carrying weapons or anything like that. It was going to be a physical fight. And Greg was like, well, if protection wasn't there, it would have been a fight to the death. And she's like, it wouldn't have been a fight to the death. I agreed with Sweet Tea. It could have gotten bad, but it wouldn't have been a fight to the death. Shake was in between them. He was going to break up anything. Production is there. They'll break the fourth wall and drop cameras. They're not going to let physical altercations go down. As Heavenly knows. She even lies and said, Contessa and I have been into it, and she never laid hands on me. Not for lack of trying, because Contessa tried to. When she told you, and she tried to really get to Dr. Heavenly. And I'm glad she didn't, because I don't want to see Dr. Contessa in trouble or lose her license or lose her jobs or anything like that. And Dr. Heavenly, her mouth, she's a provocateur. But now she's hurting herself, and she's hurting her family. This other person that was roasting her, I unsubbed from him, but I went over there to watch that roast. He was talking terrible. And in the comments, they are dragging Heavenly's son, the one that went to medical school, the one that we really like, the one that went to Meharry. He's a sweet pea. He has nothing to do with it. His mother got a big mouth. She put her big foot in her big mouth. And now they're talking crazy about her kids who don't bother anybody. I don't like that. And that's another reason why Heavenly should need to shut her reckless, drunken mouth, because now she's got strays coming out to her kids. And that man, you know what he said? He said, oh, yeah, and Allura went to college. I bet the studs are going to love Allura. Allura's not gay. Allura's not said anything that she's gay. Sometimes people go way too far. But you know who started that and opened that door? Dr. Heavenly. Dr. Heavenly. So I'm curious to see what's going to happen going forward. So thank everybody. Let me see. I had 8 that came into the chat. I had 9 people that liked the video. So thank you so much. If you can join me, I've already set up my live for the morning. It's at 7 a.m. and it's going to be another little quick hot topics. In the morning, I try to do like a 30. I went about almost an hour this morning, but you can just come in and stay with me as you can and come in and out if you need to. And Team Replay, I love Team Replay. Also the Bushes. Hello, Cece, how are you? We did the Married to Medicine review. We were talking a little bit about the aftermath of Key West. The other thing, Toya had the nerve to say, because we don't do this down in Key West. She was like kind of throwing off on King for running up. But yeah, you don't do that down in Key West. But the hot seat night, them white people came down there and told Dr. Simone to get out of there or shut up. And they chose to leave because they were making such a ruckus down there in the people restaurant. You saw where the restaurants were, and then they had the studio apartments up. So yeah, y'all do that, Toya, anywhere you go. I don't care if some of y'all are doctors. Get up. Cece says she'll replay. Thank you so much. Thank you too. I appreciate that. Thank you. American Born is laughing. And it was. Parts of this episode was funny. It's funny. when they start acting all hoity-toity, and we know how ghetto they can be, something else, too much. But this was a pretty good episode. And then the off the screen is good too. Dr. Heavenly's used to being able to run everything from her YouTube channel, but other people have YouTube channels as well. Sweet Tea has a nice YouTube channel. She's getting her story out. She brought Dr. Greg in looking like a hostage victim. He did not want to be sitting there. He's acting like he's a, hey, it was corny. She was sitting there giving her little side. And then he either rang the doorbell or knocked on the door. She said, oh, we have a guest. And then he came in and he sat down and then they started talking. But other than that, Sweet Tea does a good job on her channel. She had a good one. When they went to New York, she showed us the behind the scenes for the reunion. So that one's worth watching. This week was a little because Greg was there and it was kind of awkward because we know what Heavenly's doing, trying to throw the focus to Dr. G. But no, Dr. Heavenly, we looked at Dr. G. We don't like how he speaks to Sweet Tea. Stop it, Dr. G. But I don't like Dr. Heavenly, how she speaks to everybody, including Black women. But now that she's then offended these men, they might be able to do something with her. Thank everybody for stopping by Sandra P's Gen Extra. I appreciate you. I hope I see all of you in the morning. And if not, team replay for me, please. And please like, comment, subscribe. And thank you for joining my Married to Medicine review. Good night, everybody.